Hello, 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 ladies, and welcome back to the Faith Driven High Performance Sales Series. Wow, that's a mouthful. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about our topic for today. Okay, good morning, wake up, wipe the crust out of your eyes. Let's get to talking about some important stuff. So, for today, we're going to be talking about a very important topic, which is called confidence comes from calling, not results. So today's little 30-minute segment, 30-minute session is called Confidence Comes from Calling, Not Results. And we're going to dive deep into this, okay? So stay with me. Let me take a quick drink. Stay with me because we're gonna go deep. Okay, so good morning and welcome back to session 5 of our series. Over the past few sessions, we have talked about work as worship, character before commissions, fear versus faith, and learning not to take rejection personally. Today, we're going to talk about something that everyone is chasing, and that is confidence. And most people believe confidence comes after success, after the big win, after the results, after everything finally works out. But the truth is, confidence actually begins long before the results even appear. And I'm going to show you how. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things that are not seen. So faith operates before proof exists, and real confidence works the same way. Confidence is not believing that you will never fail. It's believing that you are called to move forward anyway. Many people delay action because they say, I just need more confidence. But confidence is not about something that you wait for. It's something you build through obedience. A quote from Mel Robinson says, you gain confidence by doing the things that you once thought you couldn't. Confidence grows through movement, not preparation alone. Now, I remember being a single mom, and when I first became a single mom, I had 3 babies. I think I had a 5-year-old and a newborn. After my divorce, of course. So after my divorce, I had a newborn, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So they're all young, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, life is about to start lifing like life never life before. And everybody I knew was like, I don't know how you're gonna do it. I don't know how you're gonna do this whole three kids thing, oh my goodness, all by yourself. Wow. And I'm thinking the same thing. But what did Mel Robinson say? You gain. Now you have. I didn't have confidence before. I was just like, okay, I'm in this situation. You gain confidence by doing the things that you once thought that you couldn't do. So when I started going to the grocery store and taking all my kids and doing the things that I have to do, dropping off kids at different places. I had kids in elementary school. I had kids who weren't even in elementary school going to daycare. For some reason, I had 3 different places that I had to drop off 3 different kids. It wasn't like one place in the mornings, and then go to work and be on time and get, the whole 9 yards. But guess what? Confidence is built in those moments. And it grows through movement. So when you just start moving through the things that you thought you could never do, you realize that you have muscles that you didn't know you had. You realize how powerful you actually are. And guess what? That power didn't pop up when the problem popped up. It's just my view of myself was wrong because I didn't know I could do it. And that's why it's good. What did Paul say? I was glad that I was afflicted. Why was he? What? That's crazy. He was glad that he was afflicted, because when he is weak, he realizes that who is strong? His father. He realized that when he was weak, his father was strong, and the strength of his father was able to be pushed and manifested through him. So he was able to do all things through Christ, who what strengthens him. Okay, I'm gonna try not to make this like a Bible study, because I know we're talking about some practical stuff, but it's also important to get that scripture in there too. So let's talk about the confidence myth. The confidence myth. Many people delay action because they say, I just need more confidence. But confidence is not about what you, oh wait, we just said that. Sorry. But confidence is not something that you wait for, like I just said. It's something that you build through obedience. Okay, let's move forward. Okay. Calling versus performance. Okay. When identity is tied only to results, your confidence rises and falls constantly. When your identity is only tied to results, meaning I will be great when I become a millionaire. I will be great when I have that house. I will be great when I have that car. Aren't you already great? When you have that car, you're going to be the same person tomorrow when you buy the car that you are today sitting in that car. If you're somebody whose identity is tied to results, this is what it looks like. You have a good day and you feel powerful. Ooh, I just closed 5 deals today. I'm the most amazing woman on earth. Wow. Look at me. And then you face some no's and some rejection, and now you're defeated. Now you don't see yourself that same way. Now you're not that same girl that you were when you were dealing with when you felt like you were top of the world. When confidence is rooted in calling, the outcomes no longer define you. Let me give you an example from the Bible. David faced Goliath before victory existed. David had never whooped a giant before. He whooped a bear. He whooped a lion, but he had never whooped a giant. And I'm using the word whoop because I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know why I'm talking like that today. I'm being silly. But his confidence didn't come from experience. It came from belief in who God called him to be. His confidence never came from experience. It came from belief in who God called him to be. He knew that it was his calling to do that thing because nobody else was doing it. And he knew who his God was, and he knew what his God did. And the identity that he had in Christ came before his desire for what is God going to do. That wasn't his responsibility. And so when we look at ourselves, when we're approaching life and we're approaching things in life, we cannot tie our identity to the outcomes. We have to know our identity before we even approach the thing, so that we walk through it with our head held high, knowing who we are regardless of what happens. Results should never change your identity. They should never change your countenance. So let's go ahead and talk about sales now. In sales, lack of confidence usually shows up as hesitation. You soften your voice. You avoid direct questioning. You hesitate to lead conversations. But confidence grows when intentions change. Okay, so when you have the wrong intentions, it's hard to be confident. When you don't know what you're talking about, it's hard to be confident. But when you have the right intentions, when you know what you're talking about and you know that you're leading somebody to the place that they need to be, if you know that you're leading your prospect from a place of ignorance of a certain topic to teaching them and showing them a new way, you're lighting the path for somebody who is in darkness, and you're showing them, come along with me. Let me show you a new way. Let me lead you to something that can help you out of your situation. Then you're not there to impress people. You're there to serve people. And that is how we do sales as a service. Now, remember my guy, Zig Ziglar? I've been using a lot of his quotes throughout this 30 days or the first 4 days, I think. We're on day 5. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great. I'm going to say that again. He said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great. A lot of people are trying to be great before they start because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to fail. They don't want things to go wrong. But guess what? That is a natural part of success and growth. You become great through refinement, and refinement comes with pain. Refinement comes with uncomfortability. Refinement comes with learning and approaching things and jumping in there and making those calls when you're not too sure about what you're doing or how it's going to go. And at some point, you get the hang of it and you get better and you get better and you become the person that you knew you were called to be. Every single job that I started felt like I was learning a new language. I'm not the girl who just jumps into things all the time and it's just like easy. Like you tell me one time and boom, I got it. I'm not that girl. I am a pretty fast learner, but my learning curve is a little bit like this. I'm just kidding. But my point is, when I jump into new jobs, especially high paying skill sets, high end skill sets where I have to know something and you can't just play around. I'm not there just to make a paycheck. But for example, banking. I remember when I got into banking and it took a lot of critical thinking, the job that I got. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to actually like think and figure out stuff for my clients. And I can't just do things, It wasn't just like, I want a hamburger. Here's your money. That'll be $3. Okay. And the machine does all the work. And then I just follow instructions. I remember feeling overwhelmed, feeling not good enough, feeling like an imposter. And every day I showed up. I kept trying. I failed. I messed it up. I got written up for making mistakes, embarrass myself in front of clients, embarrass myself in front of colleagues, embarrass myself in front of everybody you can imagine. And I just remember thinking at some point, like, maybe this isn't for me. But I realized that I had to keep going because what? I'm tenacious. Now, what does Zig Ziglar say? You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Now, that was over 10 years ago. At some point, at one day, it just clicked. Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is how I do this. I had done it so many times. And then it was like water. It was like, duh. Everything made sense. Everything was simplified. And I became one of the top salespeople at the bank, which I was doing like loans and all kinds of things. I was able to help so many people because I was somebody who was tenacious and I didn't give up on myself. And I knew that I would get it. I knew that at some point it was going to click. And when it clicked, it clicked. And so no matter what you're doing, there can be a learning curve. It was the same thing when I went from banking, being a banker, to being a financial advisor. Same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like another language again. And the frustration of trying to become was there. But my confidence was not tied in results. It was never tied in results. It was tied in the knowing that I am where I'm supposed to be, even if it doesn't look right. And oh boy, was it not looking right at some point. But I'm glad I stayed and I'm glad I made it through. And I'm glad I was tenacious because I became the woman that I am today because of that. And so if you are somebody who is who has hesitation, I was going to say hesitating, but who has hesitation around trying to figure out if you should go. This is your sign. Go. Do the things. Go after it. You have to start somewhere. It might not be pretty, but you'll get better and you'll figure it out. Now let's go ahead into the identity shift here. The identity shift that happens. Now I want you to consider something very deeply. What if confidence isn't something that you achieve, but something you decide to become? Let me ask you again. What if confidence is not something that you achieve, but something you decide to become? Jim Rohn said, success is attracted by the person you become. When you begin acting in alignment with purpose, confidence naturally follows. So today, I want you to practice confident action, not confident feeling. Everybody wants to feel confident, but let's talk about what action is going to lead you to that confidence. Do one thing before you feel ready in the next 24 hours, whether that's making that food, making that recipe. I know for me, it's like, I'm trying to learn how to expand my cooking spectrum. Maybe I'm going to make that recipe, or maybe I'm going to do that business idea. Maybe I'm going to write the business plan. Maybe I'm going to start working on that book. Maybe I'm going to go and hang out with some people. The real world, there's people out there outside. Maybe I'm going to go and hang out with friends, spend time with people outside of the house. Maybe I'm going to go to church. That's one. Whatever it is, here's some examples. Speak clearly in a conversation. Maybe you're going to ask the question that you normally avoid. You're going to confront some things. Maybe you're going to show up fully instead of shrinking. You don't have to wait for courage. You have to practice it. Now, let me encourage you a little bit. People you admire were not born confident. Oh boy, I have a story for you guys. They simply stopped waiting for permission. I remember when I was younger, and I used to walk around with my head down. I would always look at the floor. I was so insecure because a lot of people would pick on me and give me a hard time when I was younger. And I remember in college, I was kind of like walking around. I didn't want to look at people. I was very, very anxious. I would get anxious when I walked into a room full of people because I thought people were looking at me and I thought people were worried about what was going on with me. But if I would have just looked up for 1 second, I would have realized that nobody even was paying attention to me at all. But I would get anxiety and all of these things. And it had me so captive that I would, when I would walk up to a door, I remember I would start sweating and it would just be a whole self-coaching moment for me to even just walk into a room full of people. And so I remember one day I just got tired of being tired. And sometimes you just got to get tired of your own self. You got to get tired of your situation. You got to get tired of the binds that are holding you captive. And I remember thinking that I was tired of feeling that way. And I was like, I'm just going to walk through these halls. I'm going to walk through this school with my head up. And I literally, and I know it was the Holy Spirit, but at the time I didn't realize that. But I literally coached myself to walk, and I made myself physically go from walking around like this to making myself physically stand up straight and look at people in their eyes when they're speaking to me and just speak to people and look around and walk and look at people and be okay with that. and my confidence began to grow. It began to grow, right? Confidence grows every time faith becomes action. You have to believe in who God has called you to be. What did God say about you? Who are you? Where are you going? What is God doing in your life? See, that is what you need to be asking yourself. That is what you need to be thinking about when you're approaching these things and telling yourself, not just affirmations. I love the whole mantra affirmation stuff. I love it, right? We're going to speak positive to ourselves because words are powerful, but it's more than that. Because you can have 1,000 sticky notes, and I love me some sticky notes because you guys will hear about them. And I'm sure I'm going to tell you some stories about my sticky notes. But if you have positive things that you're saying or positive things all around you, but you don't believe it, you don't put it into action, when you run into a problem, you're not putting those things into action, then what is it actually doing for you? If it sounds good in the morning, you wake up, I am beautiful, I am fine, I am smart, but then you run into a problem at work and now you feel dumb. What happened? What happened? You need to know those things when the problem comes, when the thing falls apart. And that is exactly why I built this business called Building Foundations, which is a business consulting firm. And we know, I've already told you guys a million times, I have my coaching, my women's or ladies sales, high ticket sales coaching academy inside of Building Foundations. But let me tell you about Building Foundations. The reason that I believe God gave me this business is to help people to build a solid foundation. It's in Matthew chapter 7. It talks about the man who built his house on the rock and the man who built his house on the sand. Okay? And basically, the man who built his house on the sand, when the waves and the storms of life came, guess what happened? His house fell. But the one who built his house on rock, the house withstood some crazy stuff. And so when you're building your identity, if you don't build your identity and you don't build yourself up on the rock, now who is the rock? The Lord is my rock and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? That's in Colossians, right? So God is your rock. He is your rock. He is your salvation. If you build yourself on the identity that He has given you, then when the storms come, you won't be looking at you. You'll be looking at Him because He's the one who gave you the identity. Okay, so if this session encouraged you, I want you to like and subscribe to our channel. And I want you to send this video to somebody, especially I'm looking for those young ladies between ages 18 to 30 who are looking to grow in their identity, who are looking to grow in communication, who are looking to grow and learn how to make some good money and sales. But you don't even have to want to learn about sales to want to be over here, because I want to help you in whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in your life. And so if you know somebody who needs that kind of help, send them the YouTube video. You don't know what you could be doing for somebody's life. So I encourage you to think of 2 people, just 2, especially because we're a new YouTube channel and we're trying to get our content out. So if you can help us and send it to 2 people that you know who could potentially benefit from this, just like you did, then that would be a blessing to us. So if you feel called to develop these skills professionally, High Performance Sales Academy exists to help you to grow into a confident communicator and leader. We would love to meet you. Just put a comment below, comment ready, comment, hey, I'm looking to connect with your team or something like that. And remember, I will see you tomorrow so that we can talk about another amazing topic. Now, remember, we say Godspeed because God is the driving force of every single thing that we do. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.